Your performance won't go higher than your belief. Your results won't necessarily go higher than your level of belief. Your beliefs are, and your behaviors, I should say, are anchored by your beliefs. How I view myself, or how you view yourself, is going to be a direct reflection on how you perform. Welcome back, family. We are back with another compelling thought. I wanted to go ahead and stay on this lies are too good to be true. I've gotten a lot of feedback from you guys. Really appreciate it. So I wanted to stay here a little bit more. I have a few people that I coach or mentor, and a few different leaders that I'll consult, and we'll have certain conversations about things, or we'll break down certain mindsets, and they'll go, honestly, Jay, it's not that deep. Yeah, I know I do this, or yeah, I know I think this, or think this way, but it's not that deep. Let's just give me a skill, or tell me what I need to do to kind of overcome that. It's not that serious. For all my young people or young adults, they're like, it's not that deep. It ain't that serious. And I wanted to kind of pause to go, that lie, it may sound good. It may sound good, and honestly, it's too good to be true. It is deeper than you realize. One thing that I found in my life when I heard this, I really did a self-assessment, which is critical. But how you do one thing is how you do everything. How you do one thing. If you look at your life, if you look at maybe a character flaw or character trait that you have, how you do one thing in one area is a direct reflection of how you do other things in other areas. So I'm gonna go ahead and break this down a little bit so you guys can kind of follow me where I'm going. So how you do one thing is how it's going to be reflected in other areas. So for example, if there's a character trait that you may have, or a character flaw, let's say you're inconsistent. Let's just say, hey, people have pointed out your inconsistency, or maybe you self-assessed and you realize, you know what? I'm a little bit inconsistent as it relates to this area. So one thing that I found, there was a study that said, if you look at an individual's sleep patterns, right? If you look at when they go to bed, what time they typically wake up, on average. Hey, there's some individuals I know that they're literally routine. They go to bed by about 9:30, 10 o'clock. They're up by about 5 or so, and it's like clockwork. Versus other individuals where they just kind of go to bed whenever, and then they wake up whenever, which is kind of crazy. I get it when you're in college, that's one thing, but it's kind of crazy when you're a full-grown adult with kids and responsibilities. But hey, I'll get off my soapbox. But they don't really have a set bedtime. They don't really have a set a rise or wake up time. If you look at their sleep patterns, that'll say a lot to their life. So if they're inconsistent with really something as critical as sleep, chances are they're inconsistent in their diet. They're inconsistent in their diet. So yeah, I know I want to work out. I know I want to lose weight. I know I want to have a healthier lifestyle. But if you look at their sleep patterns, if you look at one area in their life, if they're inconsistent in one area of their life, chances are they're inconsistent with their diet. Maybe they're inconsistent in their relationships, right? Maybe they're inconsistent. And when I say relationships, I may not just mean with your spouse. Maybe you are inconsistent with your spouse. Maybe one week you're the most loving, wonderful husband in the world, but then the next week you're a jerk and she doesn't know what to expect, or vice versa. Hey, maybe one week you guys communicate well, but then the next week it's like, hey, it's a roller coaster. It's up and down. If you're inconsistent in one area, chances are you're inconsistent in other areas. But when I say relationships, maybe it's your work relationships or your work performance. If you're inconsistent in your work performance, like same thing, one week you're good, the next week we don't know if you're the same person. If you look at your KPIs, if you look at your metrics, you're all over the place. And if how you do one thing is a clear representation of how you do other things. Now, that's not what I'm getting at today. What I really wanted to get at as it relates to when they say, you know what, Jay, it's not that deep. Yeah, I know I think this way, or yeah, I know I act this way, but it's not that serious. Just kind of give me a skill. Give me a skill set. Break this down. Show me a technique on how I can kind of curb that result that I'm getting to get a better result that I want. I wanted to add on to that just a little bit more. I wanted to, yes, 100%, how you do something or how you do one thing is a direct reflection on how you can do everything, or how you do other things, I should say. I wanted to add on to that. your belief, maybe belief in an individual or your belief about something, your belief impacts everything as well. Your belief impacts everything as well. So what do I mean by that? My belief about myself, right? So how I view myself or how you view yourself is going to be a direct reflection on how you perform. How you view yourself is going to be a direct reflection on how you perform. So if I view myself, let's say, lackluster, if I view everybody else, let's say on a level 10, but I view myself at a 5, I'm going to perform at the level of how I view myself. If I view myself, let's say there's a promotion up for the job and I view myself, you know what? They're going to hire somebody else. I don't deserve it. If you view yourself undeserving, if you view yourself unworthy, if you view yourself incompetent, guess what? That your performance is going to be a direct reflection of that. We do not perform higher than the level of our belief. I'm going to break that down one more time. You do not perform higher than the level of your belief about that thing or about that individual. So how I view myself, how you view yourself is going to be a direct reflection on how you perform. Let me break this down again. Your behaviors are anchored by your beliefs. Your behaviors, how you behave, how you act, how you perform is anchored by your beliefs. You're not going to be able to grow higher than that. So how you view yourself is going to be a direct reflection of that, as well as, kind of what I shared before, what I feel I deserve. That's good enough. I believe that's good enough, right? Deserve. If I feel myself, if I view myself and believe that I'm unworthy, I don't deserve a promotion. Or let's say, hey, you ever seen somebody or met somebody when it's like, wow, okay, they're not. There's some cute couples out there for sure. There's some cute couples out there where, you know what? Hey, you guys look good together. You guys look good together. But then you ever meet some couples where it's like, how did he get her? Or vice versa, like how did that happen? How did she catch him? What's going on there? And if there's some individuals, if they hear that long enough, maybe they had some confidence in the beginning, but if they hear that long enough, over time they'll start to feel like, you know what, I don't deserve this individual. And now they start to behave and perform a little bit differently than how they once did. And once again, we'll never perform higher than the level of our belief. So now we're starting to act a little bit different. And now you see that couple no longer together and you just go, yep, they came to their senses. Or, yep, I knew they weren't going to last. And that may not necessarily be the case. When you ask the individual that kind of broke it off, they may say, I don't know, they just got real insecure. They just got real insecure. They just started to view themselves a little bit differently. Everybody was a challenge and everything was a challenge. It's all tied to how we view ourselves. It's all tied to the belief that we have about ourselves. And then what do? We self-sabotage, right? In that same scenario of relationships, sabotage. I think that's right. Sabotage. We'll self-sabotage. If we don't feel we deserve that promotion, if we don't feel like we deserve this career, if we don't feel like we deserve that loved one, that spouse, if we feel like we don't deserve the house that we live in, or we don't deserve what we have, we'll self-sabotage. We'll start to tear things down subconsciously. We'll start to act real insecure with certain things. We'll ruin relationships. We'll ruin peer-to-peer friendships or work relationships. We'll be super offensive and we'll self-sabotage. But it's all tied back to your belief. So going back to what I shared earlier, how you do one thing impacts how you do everything. But honestly, how you believe something, your belief about something, it impacts so many more areas. So when I hear people say, it's not that deep, it's not that serious, it's deeper than you realize. Let me give you another example. Let me break it down even more. So this is just a belief about how you view yourself. Maybe it's a belief of how you view relationships. Right. So since I don't know what it is, I used a few examples with relationships. But let's say how you view maybe not the individual in the relationship, just your view or your concept about relationships as a whole. If your viewpoint is a certain way, if your belief about relationships, let's say your belief about marriage is, you know what? You're only focused on one side of the coin. 50% of marriages end in divorce. And, I just believe marriage is a waste of time. Relationships are a waste of time. you'll never have any loving, meaningful relationships if you have that belief, because your behaviors are dictated by your beliefs. So my behavior is, if I believe that way, I'll never build a long-lasting, loving relationship. I'll never desire to get married. And then for those individuals that still get married because they love that person, deep in their hearts and in their mind and in their subconscious psyche, their belief about relationships is that they suck. Relationships, okay, we'll get married, but you know what? It's probably gonna end in about 10, 20 years anyway. Hey, but I'm just doing it because I love you. But my core belief about relationships is that they won't last. We'll look at another example. So let's say money. How you view money, your belief about money is going to impact your behavior as it relates to money. Literally, if you believe money is evil, what do they say? Oh, money's the root of all evil. If you really believe money is evil versus it being a resource, if you feel money is evil, right? If that's your belief, your behavior is, look, I just want enough money to survive. I just want enough money to get by. That's all. I just want enough money to survive. I don't want to have too much money, because, which is, if money was evil, then whether you have a little bit of money or a lot of money, you would just be less evil with a little bit of money, but you would be more evil. Literally, that concept is completely foolish. But if that's really your belief, I just want a little bit of money so I can get by. I just want to get by. I just want to have a little bit of money so I can get by. I don't have to necessarily live paycheck to paycheck. I could be comfortable. But money is evil. Versus looking at money as, you know what? It's a resource. It's just a resource. It gives me more opportunities. Money allows me to have more opportunities to do good. How I view money, how I believe money. Money is an opportunity for me to sow into somebody's life, to share experiences with my loved ones, with my family. It's to have a level of security, but at the same time, I can also create legacy with resources, with money. If how I view money, my belief about money is going to impact my behavior. So now, yes, I want to be able to produce more money in my life, but at the core of who I am, it's not just so I can have more, it's so that I can do some things with it. But it's all tied to my belief. I hope you guys are following me. So when I talk to people and they're like, Jay, it's not that serious. It's not that deep. Just tell me what I need to. It's so crazy. I'll talk to people and they go, money is evil, man. I don't need a lot of money. I just want to live. They don't say paycheck to paycheck. They'll say, I just want to live comfortable. I just want to have enough to survive and get by. I don't want to have too much money because, all rich people are evil. But at the same time, I'll see them work 2-3 jobs. They'll always ask, hey, what stock or what stock tip do you recommend? What are you in crypto? Or hey, tell me a little bit more about real estate. They're interested in money because they realize that it's a resource, but their belief, once again, your performance won't go higher than your belief. Your results won't necessarily go higher than your level of belief. Your behaviors are anchored. Think about an anchor. Your beliefs are, and your behaviors, I should say, are anchored by your beliefs. So if you have toxic, terrible, backwards thinking beliefs, it's going to hold you back and it's going to hold you down from going to that next level and taking you further faster. But a lot of us don't realize it. They just go, oh, it's not that deep. It's not that serious. I've attended a bunch of different groups and I've been to schools and they always talk about mindset. Why do they always talk about mindset? It's because your mindset is literally going to dictate the results that you get. So for me, what I always do is anytime and a lot of these compelling thoughts, I break it down. I talk to so many other individuals that I feel are more wise. They have a bunch of life experience, whether they're theologians and different people that I look up to and respect. And I always say, hey, okay, is this really a universal truth? Before I bring it to you guys, I always want to make sure, hey, is this something that's literally has whether a biblical foundation? Is it a universal truth that they can literally apply in every area of their life? And one of them, they challenged me. They said, okay, well, hey, apply it in your life first. So I looked at a belief. I looked at a belief that I had and I said, okay, well, let me really break it down and see if it's true. And so a belief that I sought out to really say, okay, is this a universal truth? Can I really, is it deeper than people say? Or is it not that deep? Or is it not that serious? And one thing that I looked at was, okay, I heard it a lot in my life. Give and it shall be given unto you, right? This concept of like sowing and reaping, give and it'll be given back onto you. If I really, really believe that, let me test that truth. So I really went in and I not only did some study behind it, but I really looked at, hey, if this is a universal truth, if this is a principle that I could really apply to my life, it should impact every area of my life. It should be true, not just in one area of my life, but it should be true in every area of my life. So for example, in that context, let's be honest, most of the time people hear that context as it relates to money. In those charitable donation spirit, or, maybe in church or things like that, people say, give and it'll be given back onto you. God is going to bless you in some way, or, the universe is going to bring it back around. Hey, you bought lunch for somebody, but now you never know. Somebody might buy you dinner next month. Give and it shall be given on you. Hey, if you don't sow anything, you won't reap anything. A lot of times we hear that in the context of money. So I really looked at it. Okay, yeah, I hear it in the context of, let's say, charitable giving, but what about in the context of, let's say, the marketplace? What about the context? What if I took that principle about money, but maybe applied it in a different arena, so to speak? So I said, okay, well, honestly, if you look at it just in the context of investing, hey, if I sow a seed, if I invest something this year one, if I invest in something, let's say year one, and then let's say 10 years from now, I'll probably reap, based on interest rates and what you sow it into, good soil, based on where I sow it, I'm going to reap a harvest. I know I say 10 a lot. Let's say 100. Let's say 1,000. In the context of stocks, crypto, whatever, or real estate, depending on where you sow that money, where you sow that seed, you'll reap a harvest based on the soil. So I'm like, okay, it applies to money, but what about other areas? Once again, if it's going to be a universal truth, I should be able to apply it in every area of my life. So I said, okay, well, what about relationships, right? I don't know what it is, but I've been on relationships a lot this episode. But so one thing I did was I applied this in my relationship. I applied this with my wife. Hey, let me sow a compliment. Now, I'm gonna be honest. Initially, I did this a little selfishly. I did this to say, you know what? I'm gonna give extra compliments. You know what? I'm gonna give flowers. One of her love languages is receiving gifts. So you know what? I'll go ahead and buy her some flowers. I'll go ahead and send her a nice text. I'll go ahead and maybe take her out to dinner, buy her something. I really wanted to sow into her and see, hey, what would be the end result? What would be the end result? Well, am I going to reap something on the end? Hey, I don't know, but I really tried it out. Now, okay, maybe not in the context of marriage, but what if we're just talking about our peer-to-peer work relationships? What if I sowed helping a coworker, right? What if I, so I said a compliment. Hey, what if you want to go ahead and, you can use it in the context of your spouse and giving them a compliment, but in the context of a coworker, maybe you wanted to go ahead and give them a compliment. Hey, you know what? You've been killing it lately. I'm proud of you, man. I know you went through a rough season. You've been killing it lately. Great job. Hey, that project, I heard it was giving you some challenges, but you crushed it. I just want to let you know you crushed it. High five, girl. You crushed it. You killing the game. Give a compliment. You never know how you're going to reap. Sometimes you won't reap it in the same form, in the same way, but I just tried sowing compliments. Hey, maybe it's, sharing a task together. Maybe it's sharing a project. If I had a little bit of time and I realized that some individual was just having a rough time, they were just having a rough client maybe that they were dealing with, or if I know somebody that has a business and I could add value to it, hey, you want to just meet up for lunch and maybe I can share some things? Obviously, I won't charge you anything. I just want to be able to help out a little bit. Maybe I worked with them on a project. Whether in the context of any relationship, just try sowing. So I told myself, I said, just really try it out. Just really try doing that. You never know how it's going to be reciprocated. You never know how it's going to look when it's returned back to you. So just try it. Maybe in the context of friendships. Hey, I have some friends that have gone through a rough season lately. I'll just shoot them a text. I'll go, hey man, just checking on you, seeing how things are good. Can we be honest here? Once again, this is a safe space. There's some times where I'll be home and I'm like, man, I'll look at my phone. Some weeks it is blowing up. It is blowing up. But then there's other times where it's like, I haven't heard from so-and-so in a while. I'm always giving, I'm always dishing out, I'm always pouring out. And sometimes I may feel like, you know what? I just want somebody to tell me I'm doing a good job. I just want somebody to let me know, you know what? I see you. You're killing the game. You're trying to lead your family. You're trying to do this. The same way we want things in the same length, the other individual wants it as well. They desire it as well. So I tried this theory. Once again, I tried this belief. I said, you know what? If I really believe in sowing and reaping, if I really believe in give and it shall be given unto you, anytime I feel discouraged, I'll give encouragements. Not just compliments, but I really would give encouragements. Encouragement. My handwriting's terrible, but you guys follow me. I'll give encouragements. And sometimes it'll just be a verbal encouragement. Like, hey, I just want to let you know you're doing a great job. I see you, and I just want to let you know that I see you. You're doing a great job. Maybe we just take a step further. Maybe we send an email. Think about that. Emails can be very, very formal sometimes, and depending on where you work or what you do, it could be informal as well. But you know, I get it. It could be very formal at times. Imagine receiving an encouraging email. Hey, I just want to let you know you have been doing such a great job. Maybe you say 3 things that you notice about that individual and how they've been crushing it, how they've been killing it. And you go, hey, you know what? I noticed A, B, C, and I just wanted to let you know you are doing such a great job. For all my leaders, all my managers, imagine if your team, if they got an email from you letting them know how well of a job they've been doing. Imagine the benefits. Imagine what that would look like, how it's going to be reciprocated. Think about that. So maybe it's an email, maybe it's a written letter or written note. I know some of these things take time, but once again, these are things that I literally did. So I did the email approach. I did the verbal approach. I did this as well. I literally got cards. Not a lot, but just a couple of people that I wanted to go ahead and encourage them. And I just go, hey, I just want to let you know, I see you. You're doing such a great job. I know this last season has been challenging for you, but I just want to just remind you of who you are. You're gonna overcome this. You are an overcomer. And man, that did so much for our relationship. That did so much for our friendship. That did so much for just the equity in that relationship that we had. So once again, what am I getting at? If this is going to be a universal truth, we should be able to apply it in every area of our life. So that was one belief that I really, really broke down. Give, and it shall be given unto you. I could see it in relationships. I could see it in my marriage. I could see it in my family. I could see it as it relates to money, obviously. So this is something that really impacts every area of my life. What am I getting at? My challenge to you is it's deeper than you think. Take an inventory of the beliefs that you have. Really take some time. So much people are so busy with the day-to-day reality. And honestly, it's just a distraction. It's just a distraction. If you think about just even that concept of distraction, if you really look at distraction and where it came from, it's designed to pull you apart in so many different ways and in so many different avenues and in so many different arenas. And now you're stretched beyond measure that you really don't take time to just self-assess on how am I really doing? Why am I getting the results that I'm getting? It's tied to your beliefs. Your behaviors are anchored by your beliefs. You'll never grow beyond your level of your beliefs. So I always recommend self-assess. Take some time. Why am I getting this result in my life? Look at some areas in your life. If there's some areas that need to be tweaked, if there's some areas that you're like, look, I completely don't like the results that I'm getting, and I need a complete turnaround. I need a complete change. I need a reset, so to speak. Self-assess. Self-assess. Look at some areas that you really, really need to modify. You really, really need to change your beliefs about something, because your beliefs about that thing is impacting your behavior about whatever it is that you're believing about or believing on. It's impacting it more than you realize. Mindsets, thoughts, it's so much deeper than you realize, right? As always, I appreciate you guys taking time out to listen to this. If it was valuable, I ask that you share it with somebody who can benefit from it as well. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and click the like button, go ahead and subscribe and follow us on our journey, and I will see you guys soon. Peace. I messed up a lot on that one. That one's going to take not a lot of editing, but oh boy.